Hello and welcome to ADC 101. If you like to dress up in tights and pretend you're Robin Hood when no one's home, and you want to enhance your range prowess, this is the video for you. ADC stands for Attack Damage Carry. Attack damage, meaning you do the vast majority of your damage with basic attacks. If you play a hunter like a mage, you're gonna have a bad time. Carry, because late game you melt face, carrying the heaviest teams on your back. This video will start off with the basics, like builds and starting routes, before moving on to more advanced topics such as matchups and the ADC's role in team fights, so there should be something for everyone. In terms of builds, hunters have the least variability in comparison to other roles. No buying something just because it makes Neath look that little bit more sexy, and I don't care if you think that Stone of Gaia brings out the colour of her eyes. Variation sometimes shows itself in the form of Transcendence / Heartseeker, depending on the god picked. Recently, unicorns have been making an appearance, but I won't go into that in this guide. Start off with Death's Toll, Spike Gauntlet and 1 health pot. Death's Toll is the best item in the game, comboing with the Gauntlet gives great sustain in lane. After this, item priority goes Devourer's Gauntlet, Warrior's Booties, Executioner, Rage, then Deathbringer. Feel free to hawk Death's Toll to build one of your big ticket items later in the game. Be sure to get Sprint 3 and Beads after Executioner for being fast and golden. The last slot is usually filled with either Magi's Blessing for more bubble or Titan's Bane for added melt. And of course, picking up a couple of wards and mana potions never hurt anyone. Once you've bought your starting items, your initial pathing will depend on what side of the map you're on. You'll always go to the long lane, the lane with the most distance between the tier 1 towers. If you start on order side, you will tackle blue buff with your support before going to lane. Be sure to attack the buff first, then trade aggro to your support. This way you both take minimal damage. Remember, you have sustain that your support doesn't, so be sure to take a couple of camp blows before stepping out of the circle. If you start on the chaos side, you'll tackle the mid harpies with your mid before collecting blue from your selfless support. Let's talk about laning. Most hunters have one primary lane clearing skill. Using more than one skill with the sole purpose of clearing the wave will quickly lead to mana starvation, but it's sometimes a necessity if you're getting pushed hard. Never use your main clear skill solely for poke. Killing minions should be your main priority in lane. Clearing minions and getting off poke at the same time is optimal, but you can't count on these opportunities always presenting themselves. In an ideal world, you clear quicker than your opposition, forcing them to lose minion gold to their greedy tower. Favourable poke exchanges are more likely with a minion advantage. However, with pushing your advantage comes risk. It's never a good idea to be dancing near the enemy tower if you feel a Thanatos is lurking. You can't always count on outpushing the enemy. Allowing yourself to be safely pushed and losing a few minions to tower is favourable to giving the enemy an easy first blood. Remember that some ADCs, such as Zablanc and Artemis, accept poor early clear in exchange for late game power. Currently Apollo and Rama are the kings of the ADC role. Anhur and Neath stand in their shadow, while the rest of the hunters strain to be noticed. Succeeding in duo lane is very dependent on knowing your matchups and power spikes. Skill being equal, does your level 5 Anhur win a duel with a level 5 Artemis? Should you pay special attention to your Amusin-Cab positioning against a Sobek Cupid lane? Be sure to master all the hunters to get a feel for their strengths and limitations. Respecting and understanding your foe is the first step to victory. Last but not least, let's talk about team fighting and the importance of staying alive. The BGs were definitely onto something. It might seem obvious, but your primary goal is to stay alive. If you're dead, you can't farm and you can't contribute to team fights. The hunter's role is to provide continuous physical damage. You can't do this if you're 10 feet under. You're not an assassin, you're not a warrior, don't play like one. Since you don't build any defensive items, you rely on positioning to stay alive. Your mantra should be attack whoever is closest. This will keep you as safe as you can be. If this means attacking the tank, that is what you do. If you make their tank run for cover before yours, that's a huge advantage. However, of prime importance is target swapping. If you're laying into Geb and all of a sudden a wild Thor appears by your side, you must swap focus to him. Don't get tunnel vision and allow the enemy tank to kite you into their base. I hear you laugh and comment, what about that time where X pro player made that sick play? There are times when you might deem it necessary to make a play. Weigh up the risk and reward. One of your crits on a high priority target can win a game, but you have to respect your foe. Imagine the situation reversed. If their Rama ran by your Sylvanas and Vamana to get some squishy one-on-one action, do you think that Rama would live very long? I've a rule of thumb for my skill level if I feel a risk is required. If I use something to get in, be it sprint or a movement ability, I make sure I have an exit strategy. For example, if I, as Anhar, leap in, I make sure I have sprint and beads off cooldown, so I can make a quick getaway. I've been Plague Player and that's enough of me for one day. I hope you've enjoyed the video. You'll surely be a Masters ADC main in no time. Feel free to stick to this guide as much or as little as you want, and if you've got any hunter tips, whack them in the comments so we can all benefit. Till next time, VVGB.